wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you for joining us on Everything Sparkle. I am so happy you're on the show today because you do a million and one things. You've got your cooking show, you do makeup, you were in the movie. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh, which movie? I got
the
two
movie
coming
that you
out.
did when you were a child.
I was a child actress, and I worked with all these old time movie actors. I was just talking to Joe today, and I actually was looking at an old still. I worked with Humphrey Bogart in The Left Hand of God, and I have he was playing the piano and I was singing. And then I worked with
Wow.
I know it's I just looked at him and I was looking at his teeth. That's all I remember. It's so funny how, when you're
How
little,
old were you when you did that one?
I think 5.
So that was even before the big movie, the big
Yeah,
classic.
yeah. Well,
Okay, you gotta
I
tell us
played
the
the
big
princess.
classic.
What'd you say?
You gotta tell us the big classic that you did.
The King and I was the main princess, Princess Ying Yaolok. They carried me onto the set.
I need to go back and watch that so I can see because that's
I was
so.
the second. Yeah, it was the second time they carried on, but at the very end, I gave the speech to Deborah Carr to tell her not to go to England.
I don't know why that's not at the forefront of everything you tell people. That would be like my first sentence. Hey, by the way, I was on The King and I.
So then, and I worked with Rock Hudson in The Left Hand of God.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. That was Battle Hymn. Humphrey Bogart was The Left Hand of God, and Rock Hudson was Battle Hymn of the Republic. I was supposed to be an orphan refugee, and I ended up falling down this hill. And this other girl, they asked her to do it, and she didn't want to dirty her costume. But I said, it's not mine, the studio's costume, so I don't care. So I did it, and then he picked me up and carried me off. And I'm like, oh my God, I bet she's sad now.
All before you were 10? Is this really all these little career things? This is all before you were 10, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And so you just started acting, and then all of a sudden,
I started when I was 4, actually.
Like a commercial?
No, I actually did. This is crazy. I did a movie with Ronald Reagan.
What movie was that?
And I don't know the name of it. I don't remember, but I just remember that there was this little boy that he adopted, and we were playing a tisket a tasket, and we were all in a circle. And you drop the handkerchief behind a girl, and she's supposed to chase you or whoever you drop. And I go, please don't drop it in back of me. I'm not going to chase a boy. And sure enough, he dropped it in back of me, and I wouldn't chase him. And my mother was so mad. She was like, I can't believe it. He picked you and you didn't do it. And so that's why I started acting, because I wanted to make it up to her, because she was so upset that I didn't
deliver when you were supposed to.
But I was only 4, so I don't know what to do. Anyway, so then I go, okay, I'm gonna make it up to her. So then I said, okay, I'm gonna just get a part. Then I started auditioning, and then I could see that I really was acting better than some of the other girls. I don't know. I just felt like I was doing this really heavy voice, but then when I watch it, it sounds like this on TV now. But in my head, it was really heavy, dramatic, and I thought I was heartrending. But then when I listen to it now, it's like a little baby voice.
Wow. So this is it's so crazy when you start your career with such a bang. I mean, take us through all the things you did, because is it hard, as you get older, you're you start aging, things happen, just even from being a child actress to a teenage actress. It's there's so many transitions. Tell us about it.
Well, I also, there's a director named Joe Sargent, and he told my mother that she should get me into modeling to make more money. So then I started doing that too on the side, and I did Hawaiian Punch, and I just did different ads and things like that. And then afterwards, I started when you hit that difficult age when you're too young, but I always looked really young even though I was older. So then now, then I was able to transition, and then I worked on Room 222 as one of the children.
Wow.
So
So
there
what
there
did
were
you,
things, but being Asian, there was not as many things. I would say that, but now it's way better.
it
But
seems
I
like you
kind of
did everything possible that there was, though, being Asian. Like you got every single role that like you could get. That's pretty cool.
Well, I think that you have to be adaptable because I also did body doubling because I would wear like blonde wigs and I would just do like bodies for people. I did Kim Basinger's billboard for My Stepmother's an Alien.
Are you
So I
serious? Oh my God.
remember it
Wow.
was on Sunset and it was on well the thing is because I have body parts that I could use and it wasn't me. I mean it wasn't, you wouldn't know it was me. And then I did Sarah Jessica Parker and Ed Wood, and I did Leah Remini in this other movie. I was just a bunch of different things, and then I started doing, hand commercials. I did the Pillsbury Doughboy. I
I'm
punched
gonna
him
put
in
it
the
in front of your face. Let me see it. Let me see it. You do got good hands.
well,
Wow,
they're not the
really?
best right now because I haven't done a manicure
Well,
because
go
I don't
like
have
that
good
too. I want
conditioning.
to see. Like that's. I love that you're a hand model. Oh my gosh, that's so
I
cool.
also do feet and legs, and I've done different parts, and I mean parts, not really. But the thing is, they don't know it's you, so you can't do a bad job. But it's funny to do it though because sometimes it keeps you from being typecast because they don't really know. And then I do a lot of voiceovers and I do like cartoon voices, and I worked with Hanna Barbera and Punky Brewster, and I've done um lots of different accents and characters and things like that. And see, one time they had me do an English accent, and I'd never even been to England, but I did an accent. But now, I did go there, so now I knew how to do it really. But I didn't really know how to do it when I did it. I just copied. Well, you know why? Because I grew up with Deborah Carr, and she had an English accent, so I just recalled, the way she talked to me, and I just picked it up.
Wow. I mean, you like really got to know like a lot of like your castmates. Tell us like a story that stands out to you about someone. So you grew up with Deborah Carr. Do you have any stories about her?
Oh, well, I was hugging her in this last scene and her earring scratched my face. And she was so apologetic, but I didn't really, it didn't, I don't know, it hurt a little bit, but it wasn't all that big. But she's very concerned and very sweet. And I so, had fun doing all these different scenes because everybody was so nice and they gave me ice cream afterwards. And so that was my big reward. And that's why I decided I wanted to be an actress because I got the ice cream.
Did it ever like occur to you like, hey, I'm not a normal kid. This is not what most kids do. When did you come to that moment?
Well, it's when I went, back to my regular school, and instead of people saying, "Hi, this is Joycelyn," they would say, "This is Joycelyn," and she was in, and they would talk about my career instead of like just me. And so that was kind of like, wait a minute, that's kind of weird.
Wow, that's just really cool. So did you even have like a regular school experience ever? Were you always kind of like homeschool or something?
Well, I went to studio school a lot of times because they had 3 hours. You have to do 3 hours when you're off set, and
Oh
then they
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
get
okay.
like a tutor, and so we all had the same tutor. So everybody was doing different grades and different things. That's how it kind of works out. But
But did you get to go to prom or anything? Was there like an off season where you're like, I'm gonna go and do the school thing or not really?
not till I went to college, and then I did more like I was in a sorority, and I just had more of a you know regular
Okay.
people. But I still majored in theater arts at UCLA, so it's still I don't know. You just grow up in the business, and it's kind of like part of your. I mean, I don't even think of it as work. Kind of, I just think of it as something to do that's fun.
So when you
Most
were
of
in
the things.
school, did they ask you for like advice and help? The other like the other students? Were they like, hey, can you help us? You know this. You've been doing this your whole life.
No, not really, because everybody had different scenes. Usually I wasn't in with any group kids, so we didn't
Did you
really.
even learn anything, or did you already know everything like when you ended?
Well, I think that it becomes natural, sort of to act. I don't know how to put it that
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what I'm surprised when you said you went to school. I'm like, what? You like probably already knew so much. You probably were so much more advanced than a lot of the other fellow classmates.
Um, Well, in school, there's different things that they make you do that you like set design and you have to take shop and so you learn a lot of other things that aren't like fashion design. I started doing that too. I went to trade tech and I took French draping and because I really wanted to be a fashion designer. So then I did it for a little bit, but it the thing is they steal your designs. And I thought, well, they can't steal your performance. So actually, I think creatively speaking, it's easier to be an actress than to be a fashion designer because nobody can really take your, emotions, your performance. It's kind of yours.
That's
And
a
you
good
can make
point.
characters. So also I do magic I have a partner, Bill Perone, and we worked at the Magic Castle and we go sometimes travel and we do these crazy shows. I have a character
You get
called
cut in half and all that?
No, we do more like children's shows. I do Princess Spend-A-Lot, and he does the Swami from El Monte. And then sometimes I do the Wizard of Oz, and I do what do you oh like we've got a dog, and it's the same dog as Toto was. It's a carrion terror, and so he does a wizard, and then I just do Dorothy, and then we have another singer. We have all these different characters, and it's really fun because we take pictures with all these different characters, and then we ask who do you want us to be, and then like for Christmas, sometimes I'm Mrs. Claus, sometimes I'm an elf, and we have all these different you know characters that we can do, and we ask them what would you like to see. Sometimes they like Cinderella, so I have a blonde wig, and I wear that for Cinderella, and then we
And
do
then you do makeup. I heard you were Emmy Award makeup artist.
Oh, I do makeup and hair because I don't know, I just love making people look good and it's really fun. And it's funny how I don't know, everything I do, I just keep getting booked in different adventures. I have so many different jobs. I never know when the phone rings what they're going to want me to do. But I ended up doing the Burbank Film Festival. Uh, and I did all the awardees and things like that. And actually, I had Ken Davidian on my cooking show because I met him doing his makeup, and now things happen where you just see people from one thing and then you bring them into another. And then I cut hair for Jeff Rector every 2 weeks, and so he is the president of the Burbank Film Festival. I have a printing company called Final Print, and I print the programs for the Burbank Film Festival, and I do the award show backdrops. I have an award show this week coming up where I have luckily people working for me to do the things so that I don't have to always, but I oversee it still from wherever I am. So that is kind of crazy because like today I was looking at some guy's headshot and I was sending in, I said, okay, can you make a business card? So I sent it to my roommate and I said, can you give him a business card from this? And I sent him all the information. And so I'm always doing more than one thing every day.
That is so impressive. And I love your attitude about it because some people might become a diva starting so young, being in it, but you have that like personality. You're like, okay, I'm not going to do a movie this month, but I'm going to go do hand modeling. I'm going to go do this. You make it happen. You're not like, oh, I have to have a starring role in this. You make it happen. You're always succeeding at like whatever you put your hand in. I love that.
Well, see, I met you because I did your makeup in your movie.
And I loved it.
And you look fabulous.
What did you do? Get your what were you nominated for? You were nominated for doing makeup.
For makeup
What
for
was that for?
yeah, it was it's a daytime Emmy for the 2020 Burbank International Film Festival, and the board nominated me, which was really nice because they have to pay to do it, and so that was nice, because usually you don't expect to be supported by so many people that don't know you that well. You know what I mean?
Right. So it was for you did the makeup for the Burbank 2020 Awards, and then you got nominated for an Emmy for that.
Yeah. And also I've done makeup for different different shows and a lot of different actors and headshots. I have so many actors that I've worked with, but it's fun to me too, to meet them. And sometimes I've done like screen tests, like I did Adrian Paul and then he got Highlander, and I go, oh, I did his makeup and he got the series. So you never know what people are going to get or what happens. You just want to make them look as good as you can. And they flew me to Cancun for the Miss Universe pageant, and I was a head makeup artist on that.
Was that hard to do? All the different people? Was it hard?
Well, I did the main people who were, like the hosts of the show, but then I picked a few girls, that I worked with. But then there's 77 girls, so we had volunteers, believe it or not, from Mexico who had hair salons and things, and they just want to do it because it's so prestigious. So I would show them what the hairdo is going to be and what we're going to do, and then they would do it. And it's kind of fun because, well, I speak Spanish too now. I didn't speak Spanish that much then, but I learned I actually have a bilingual certificate in Spanish because I just wanted to learn, because I hate being able, not being able to communicate with people. It's just, it's like something that, especially in California, there's so many people who speak Spanish, but I took French in high school, and I thought that's not that useful, except I did a movie with Jean-Louis Trintignant.
Okay.
And I spoke with him in French, and he said, if you were to come to France, you would be speaking perfectly in 1 month. And I said, how long have you been here? And he said, 1 month. I said, why can't you speak English? And he said, I'm allergic.
Oh, that is so funny. Oh my gosh.
But he's like a legend. He's just amazing.
So do you prefer doing men's makeup or women's makeup? Because I feel like it would be really hard to do the men, and I saw you doing older gentlemen's makeup, and you did such a good job. Like, how do you learn how to do different makeup for so many different people?
I just do each person, look at their bone structure, and I look at their hair, and like if I'm doing hair, what is the texture of their hair? What can I do? Because sometimes people don't realize they make it more complicated. Like being Asian, my hair is straight right away. If I want to just wet it, I don't have to go through a whole bunch of things to do it right. But other people, if your hair is frizzy, you have to, straighten it first. You can't just set it, and you can't brush it with a brush. It's going to go stick out and everything.
Right.
And you just have to know. So I think the more you do it, the more you realize, and you have to work with different products for different hairstyles. And then the same thing with the face. I blend the makeup to match, and everybody also has different textures. Some people have really different character, like pores, and I try to make sure that it looks good in all angles, because it depends on the lighting too. Red transfers so much stronger on some video cameras that you have to be careful not to overdo it. But I think
are you going to ever have a makeup line in the future?
I almost did. I was going to sell it to Universal Studios tour. It was going to be called Celebrity Cosmetics, but my partner decided to sue Universal Studios for sexual harassment, which didn't really help. And so that went down the tubes. And I went, that was a bad time.
That is such a great story. Wow.
But then I decided I didn't really want to do products, because I ended up with all this lip gloss, and it only has a shelf life of so long because it got really thick and rancid. And I just went, I had to throw away all this stuff, and I thought, I don't really want to do this. It's just too much, inventory, and it cost a lot to get the right formula and everything. But I mean, it was fun for a little bit, just to have it. And I still have a lot of product that I can use it, like shadows and things with their powder. They don't spoil, but certain things that have an oil base, they don't last that long, and sometimes stuff separates. And if you use natural stuff, it doesn't have preservatives, which is the rage right now. So then you can't even keep that for very long.
You know your stuff, girl.
The answer is, I don't think I'm going to do products.
So lastly, I want to talk about your cooking show, because I mean, with all that you do, and I don't think you've kept track, and you probably haven't even said everything. How did you come up with getting the cooking show, and where can we watch it?
Okay, it's on Amazon Prime, and it's also somewhere on YouTube, and it's called Cooking In with, and then my name, Joycelyn, which is spelled really weird. It's Joycelyne.
I see it. So okay, and so we can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Season 1. I'm it's 16 episodes per season, and I've got about 30 or so more, but I haven't put together season 2 because you have to get closed captioning, and it's really complicated. It's not like you could just put everything on all at once. You have to go through all this, stuff to
Right.
get prepared. What happened was I was just, oh, I know what. I was writing a cookbook, and I had an audition with Wolfgang Puck, and they said they were going to choose some people to give them this Novo Pro oven. So they decided to pick me and a bunch of people to get this oven. So then they gave me this expensive, gorgeous oven, and it's a convection oven, but it's also like a steam uh, pressure cooker, and it browns. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You can cook things really quickly. So they go, "What are you going to cook in it?" And I go, "Oh, I don't know." So then I go, "Okay, I'll make something." So I made something. And they said, "Well, can we have a tour of your kitchen?" So I go, "How is anybody going to see it?" And they said, "Well, we'll put it on YouTube." So I put it on YouTube, and then I gave them a tour of my kitchen. And so they go, "What else are you going to cook?" So then I go, "Oh, okay." And then I cook something else. Then I started getting messengers going, "This guy goes, I bought some scallops. What can I do with them?" And I'm like, "Oh." So then I started answering. And then they go, "What else are you going to cook?" And I go, "Oh, okay, let me think." So then I started, I did about 4 of them. And I go, I don't want this to be boring because I'm an entertainer and I do magic. So I called my magician friend. I go, "Let's do a magic show, for a cooking show with magic in it, for Halloween." So that was my first, show
This
that I
is
did.
awesome. It's like Bewitched. I love it.
So I sent it. Oh, my refrigerator broke. So I had this big hole in my wall. I mean, it was like a portal. I said, "You could be coming from that portal where the refrigerator used to be." And we put magic dust. And then he came through. And then that's one of these shows. So I sent it to the producer of Samurai Cop 2, who is my friend. Well, I mean, I've done a few movies. He's a big fan of mine because he saw my Jackie Chan movie, The Big Brawl. I've done a lot of martial arts films. And so he ended up, I go, "Do you have any more of these?" I go, "Yeah, I do actually." So I gave him 4 more, and he goes, "Oh, I want to put this on Amazon Prime." And I go, "Oh, okay." So that's how it happened.
And so wait, you were writing a cookbook, and then you said Wolfgang Puck. You were writing it with Wolfgang Puck, or what were you doing with the
Oh,
cookbook?
no, he just gave me the oven because he wanted me to use it. And
And he knew you were a good cook.
so I used it on I did a video showing what I cooked on his oven. And then that's why I did it, because I didn't really have a plan. I just wanted, and plus I was a home ec major when I first went to Santa Barbara because my dad had a restaurant. So I'm all into food, and I've been like really food fanatic. It
What's
doesn't look like
your
it, but I eat a
specialty
lot.
that you cook?
What?
What's your specialty that you cook?
Oh, believe it or not, I love spaghetti. It's my favorite thing. Because my
I love
dad used to
spaghetti
make it,
too.
and I mean, you cook it like forever. And I use a lot of different herbs, and I use a lot of fresh, basil, tomato, um, a lot of different. I can't even think. Oh, I use also fennel seeds. That really gives it a good flavor. And I put just a lot of oregano and different spices. And I mean, it's really intense. So when I have a bland spaghetti, I'll go, "Ooh," because I'm so used to putting, and of course, a lot of garlic. And I just make it forever, and it smells really good because it's cooking the longer you cook it, the better. And I
You
try to
marry.
use a lot of, fresh ingredients, because all of my recipes are with no processed foods. And actually, they're more inexpensive because if you buy things that are processed, they cost a lot more. But people don't think of that.
Interesting.
Let's say you buy a bag of potato chips for $4 or $5. But let's say you go to the dollar store and buy a bag of potatoes, 3 pounds to 5 pounds for $1. You buy some mayo, some celery, some different, you can put different things in it. You can seeds, nuts, leftovers, tuna, you can make it meals out of just the basics like that. And so it's actually cost effective to make things from scratch. So I cook quite a lot of food. I mean, when I make things, I make so much food, but it still doesn't last more than a couple days because I have so many friends that come over to eat.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I love you guys. You have done so much. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
You're welcome. I'm glad to have met you that day.
Hey, Chad Homan, thanks for coming on my show. This has been a long time coming because I've known you forever.
Yeah, hey, Sparkles. I told you I'd come when the time is right. I think the time's right.
So tell us a little bit about your background. You worked at Paramount?
No, Warner Brothers. I come from a Warner Brothers film family.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk about the.
My grandfather jumped the fence at Warner Brothers when he was 18. He was a plasterer along with his dad, and they were working on a whale, and they couldn't get it right. My grandpa pipes up and he says, "I can do that." And they're like, "You think so, kid? Give it a shot." And he did it, and they went, "Wow, you're really good. What department do you work for?" He had to say, "Well, I didn't really, you know." They go, "You don't work here?" And he says, "No." And they go, "You want a job?" And he was like, "Okay." Worked there the rest of his life. When they established one of the art departments, he was head of the art department at Warner Brothers. Jack Warner would give him his private limo for protection and stuff during the strikes. Then my dad, my two uncles, Ron and Mel, worked there. I worked there a little bit. My uncle Mel became a renowned set artist. He painted the shark for Jaws.
Wow.
And he ended up working with Clint Eastwood and even working on Clint Eastwood's home, inside interiors and fake marble. And so I was just amazed. I just loved growing up like that. You know, that was the first part. So we've always been movie lovers and movie makers. So it was only natural that I segue into it eventually.
And you brought a lot of that to the Central Valley, which is awesome.
Yeah. Several years ago, this was funny, my brother-in-law broke his collarbone, called me to come work on their grape ranch to restore a Victorian home. And I asked him what's going on. He says, "Well, I broke my collarbone on my bike." And I said, "Okay. So when'd you do that?" He goes, "On my honeymoon." I started laughing so much. I said, "Boy, you guys will do anything to get me up there," because I'd gone through a breakup. So I came up while I was here. I found another gentleman who was making movies here, Bill Clark out of Clary. I ended up becoming a producer of this film, Team Dragon, which is about a bunch of team of officers, SWAT officers that go to raid a marijuana field that turns out to be high-grade opium run by North Vietnamese soldiers.
Wow.
Turned into a massacre of our law enforcement, and it's based on a true story. So then, next thing I know, other people are making movies. Then my folks got older and things were going on, and I had a choice to go back to Hollywood, but I thought, you know what, I could stay here because Hollywood was changing. I didn't like the films that were becoming popular. It's not what I wanted to do, but they were doing them up here in the valley. And as my folks got older, I'm the oldest son. In fact, I didn't have any females in my family. No, we had females, and I didn't have any cousins, male cousins, till I was maybe 9. So I was like the leader of the pack. So that's always come naturally.
So, Chad, you brought some great stuff to the Valley. Tell us about this huge event we have coming up Saturday, October 16th.
Okay, Saturday, October 16th, we're introducing the Valleywood Cinema Showcase here to the Valley. What that consists of is a series of trailers being shown throughout the event. the event is the Taste of the Arts Festival. We're part of that event. We're in the middle of the yard area. They're right where everything's going on, and we're constantly running trailers. And then we're going to have critiques and commentary on those trailers. That way it allows us to use the trailers as fair use, even when we go in and edit them. So we don't specifically need permission from the filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
We have to present it in a certain environment. And if you make a change to it, even in the editing, if you zoom in on something, if you add and zoom, this is crazy. If you just add a zoom, they say that's fair use because you've changed the nature of the quote unquote product.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
I'm filling this with as many locals as I can. That's what I want, because I want to bring more work up to the valley here for all of us. Since I decided to stay when my folks got older, you know, I thought as the oldest in the family and things changing that I should probably stay here, and I'm loving it. It's still, trailers can be submitted to Homan Studios at gmail.com. MP4 files are preferred. It can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 4.5 minutes if you want to add some credits. But it's sort of first come, first serve. We only have a few time slots. And
So
then
what's going to go on that day? People go there. How do you get a ticket, by the way?
it's free. This
So
whole
anybody can
event
come
is-
anytime.
yeah, you just walk in. That's, I don't know how you get there.
And they
but
get
I
a
can tell you how
program.
you get in.
So they get a program, and then they see like kind of what's happening at 11 o'clock, what's showing at 12, what's showing at 1, what's showing at 2,
Exactly.
how it works.
And I decided to do it alphabetically because that's so much easier. We'll hand a
That's
schedule out.
perfect. Okay.
That way you can see, oh, I want to definitely see this trailer, oh, it's going to play with
I
this.
like that. That's smart.
Yeah. And then I also hear, I don't know, Sue, tell me if this is right, but I heard that Elvira is going to make an appearance.
I heard that rumor too.
Yeah. I heard Elvira is going to come dressed as you.
Then I'll have to
Featuring
come
Elvira as Sparkles. It's going to be.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
This is
also
going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We have a top-notch director, Rayster Michaels, coming in. He's directed a lot of things. He likes making films up here in the valley. He's working with Philip Cable. In fact, they got a project right now. I guess it's okay to say since they've sort of put it out there. But they're working on a project up here, Death House, that's going to have Nicolas Cage in it. James Earl Jones, Paula Abdul, others I can't think of right now.
That's such a great mix.
And they'll be making commentary during different breaks.
Well, this is great. I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah.
Tell us about the mixers. We have a Fresno Filmmakers Alliance mixer.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the mixers going up again through the Fresno Filmmakers Alliance, which is a group of independent filmmakers, mostly here in the Fresno area, but we've got people as far away as Vegas and up north, you know, that are part of our alliance. And again, that's going to help bring people here to make movies with all this great talent we've got. So once a month, the talent, we like to get together and, you know, have a little mixer, get to know each other, talk about future projects. If you're single, it might be a good place to come. You know, we get a few singles in there. If you're interested in the movie, yes, Suji, you know any singles that are looking for a date? Cut. Yeah.
And people come from all over, like Visalia, Madera. People come from like all over just to go to that.
Yeah. When I advertise it, I go clear up to the ISIN notices, clear up to the Sacramento area. And I get thanks and stuff, because who knows if they're driving through or doing something here. So I try to reach as broad a base as possible with the invitations. And we put one out every month, Fresno Filmmakers Alliance Mixer. And we usually put that out about 3 weeks ahead of time, because we're usually the second Thursday of the month. And right now, it's taking place. Do you know what place was that, Sparkles? 559 Beer?
Yes, a 559 beer.
Yeah. What's the address? Like, it's Pulaski. Right?
Pulaski and 4th. And
Yeah.
it's the second Thursday of every month from
Right.
7 to 9.
10. Last calls, would you guys like last call about 9:30?
Yeah, so about that. So that's perfect. And we've had some good turnouts. We hope to gain more, and this is good. So we have the mixer the Thursday night, the event Saturday night. We have a big month ahead of us.
Yeah, we do. It's great. October's, lining up like a jack-o'-lantern, you know.
Literally.
We're getting our smile back and we can see better.
Right.
You know. Oh, by the way, it's a costume mixer, so
Oh,
again,
it is?
Elvira, yeah, and Elvira might show up there too. Yeah.
I think
Maybe
Elvira's
Beetlejuice.
appearance for Saturday.
Okay.
But we'll think of something fun to do for Thursday. Thank you so much for coming on my show, Chad. And where do we look for you and everything on Facebook? Because it's Valleywood.
Valleywood Films. Valleywood Films. Go to Valleywood Films and you find out a lot of information there. And then I'm simply got a personal site, Chad R. Homan, Homan. It's Homan. So anyway, that's where I can reach. And you can also message me through my Facebook. And you can send to my emails, homanstudios@gmail.com. You can send any of your trailers you'd like us to screen for you during the event. We just ask that they be on around a few minutes and they come in an MP4 playable high quality form. And other than that, I guess we'll see you at the movies, huh?
We'll see you at the movies. Thanks, Chad.
Okay, dear.
Welcome to Everything Sparkles, Saul. It's good to meet you in the flesh because I have your name right here. You signed my little paper, and I appreciate it so much. It's good to be able to thank you for this because this was such an honor. How long have you been with the Chamber of Commerce in Panorama City?
Well, it was established in 2016, and I'm the founder, so I've been in it since the beginning.
You're the founder? So what, before you came around, there was no Chamber of Commerce there?
No, there used to be one from 1959 until 1989, and then in 1989 they shut it down, and they became a much larger chamber to cover the entire San Fernando Valley, which is the Greater San Fernando Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So multiple chambers got united, and they created a massive chamber, which at the time I thought, yeah, maybe it's a good idea. But obviously, through the years, the communities continue to grow, and there's a point where it doesn't really make sense anymore. As an example, just Panorama City alone, we got 20,000 businesses and 70,000 residents. So just that alone, of course, it doesn't make sense. It's impossible for any chamber to even consider that they could be So even if we were to get another chamber, honestly, I wouldn't be upset because really it is needed, So to say the whole San Fernando Valley, I don't think it really applies anymore because it's quite big. So
and it's actually a little bit further. It's not even, it's kind of part of San Fernando, but it's a little bit more, on the outskirts of San Fernando, right?
No, not at all. We're actually the center. We're the center and officially declared by the government as the heart of the San Fernando Valley.
Really? Gosh, it got so vast because, okay, so back in the day when I lived over there, it was like Sylmar, and then it expanded like to go a little bit further out. So Panorama City.
You still got Sylmar, you still got Pacoima, then it's Panorama City. To the other end, you got Sherman Oaks, Studio City, Encino.
Exactly. Wow. Okay. This is still so fast.
You got 1.7 million people in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, you guys need your own Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. So I believe every community should have at least one Chamber of Commerce. Every single community, and unfortunately, a lot of them still don't have. Believe it or not, Venice doesn't have a Chamber of Commerce. Mission Hills doesn't have a Chamber of Commerce. Arlira doesn't have a Chamber of Commerce, and so many other communities that they still haven't had a chance yet.
So how did you get the ball rolling on this? What made you think, hey, I'm going to take initiative, I'm going to start this? And what changes have you seen since you became the head of this?
Well, it actually began about 12 years ago. I went to high school, and during high school, I was an artistic cadet, so I was a little bit popular because we used to do a lot of community events. We used to be very active in the community, and because they already knew us. And then after that, I went into retail. I used to work for many companies such as Sears, Macy's, I was a district manager for
Oh,
senior
wow.
citizens. So I already had the experience as a manager. I already had the experience as a simply properly dressing and that kind of stuff. So I began to volunteer to try to teach the youth on how to properly wear a tie, how to properly dress in a suit, how to pass an interview, how to basic stuff to at least get a decent job. Because unfortunately, nobody's really was offering that at the time. And then afterwards, I joined the neighborhood council or local neighborhood council, and I was with the neighborhood council for 10 years. I was elected 3 times, and I was with them for 10 years. And my role was precisely the commerce chair. So my job, I was a business representative, an elected business representative. So for 10 years, we worked with the city of LA in creating programs related to the business and to bring new businesses. Panorama City, in a certain point, it was one of the top most luxurious communities in the entire United States. So unfortunately, of course, that changed a lot. And I'm one of the people who I was born, after all that passed. And I always felt like, as a kid, there wasn't much that I couldn't do. But when I became an adult, I always wanted to do more. I wanted to actually say, why not? If I already been there. A lot of people don't know, but even let's say palm trees, people don't know, but palm trees, they go for about $60,000 to $80,000 each. So when you see, let's say, Venice Boulevard full of palm trees, people don't understand, but by the time that when they did that, it was because it was meant to be a really nice neighborhood. It was supposed to be a really nice community. And unfortunately, there was a lot of money invested. And nowadays, even Sherman Oaks has a mess nowadays. And I think it's really sad. So anyhow, when I jumped in with the neighborhood council, that's one of the things that I wanted to do is to actually bring better name brands. And ever since then, we were able to bring all these. We opened the first Walmart neighborhood market, which was the first one in the entire United States. Well, Wingstop, Yogurtland. Those are some of the brands that when I jumped in, we didn't have. And, now we got, what is it, the Gap, it's something that we didn't have in those days. So we feel proud that we actually sat at the table and talked to some of these companies and try to convince them why should they come back and invest a little bit more in our community, to try to beautify it, to try to make it a little bit. But before even my time, I got to give credit to Richard Arcon, our former council member. He's the one who a lot of people don't know, but he established the plan, where you got the movie theater, where you got the, a bunch of different companies. Even UCLA, they have a UCLA extension in that area. They have living spaces. They have a lot of that, which used to be the old General Motors factory. And then Richard Arcon proposed that. And I don't know if you remember Tom Selleck from the 80s. He was the owner. He was the original owner of the plant. A lot of people don't know that too, but he's the one who put the money so that we can get a decent shopping center with the In-N-Out and with the Starbucks and all of that. And the Starbucks actually used to belong to Magic Johnson. He was one of the investors in the Starbucks right here in Panorama City. So a lot of the celebrities and people from outside actually came in and actually helped us a lot to actually rebuild Panorama City. So that's what we did and accomplished a lot of that through as the neighborhood council, as the commerce committee. And then when we established the chamber, it was for several reasons. Unfortunately, because of city laws, there's a lot of limitations that you have when you're just in a neighborhood council. As an example, we're not allowed to take donations. And we have a very small budget. In fact, at a certain point, my budget was $20 a month, just for you to get an idea. So
wait, you can't take donations? Why can't you take donations? Like even like fundraiser type events, you guys can't do that?
No, when you work for the city, you can't take money because of bribing, situation. So I was in an elected position, and you're not allowed to take any money, period. If you do, practically, you can.
Well, I know that, but you guys can't do fundraisers for like another building to pop up. Or if everybody wanted a Starbucks and there wasn't one, could be like, there's nothing to do that way. Oh, wow.
You can't get into money, period. I mean, you got to stay away from the money part. So that's one, not the only, but one, as an example, one of the reasons why we decided that, I did enough already as the neighborhood council and as a chamber. Yes, you're allowed to do donations, fundraisers, and raffles, and all kinds of activities that you can actually generate some revenue. Because back then I used to say, at least coffee. I mean, if you're going to have meetings with executives, with, real high end executives, the least you got to do is provide coffee and donuts or something for the meeting. Yeah. You cannot even afford to have enough coffee for the people who are attending. We have an issue, and I was not allowed to take donations or money.
Wow.
Not even sponsorship. So as the chamber, that completely changes. So that really, we knew that it was necessary to go to the next level, and it was that, to be able to actually have a little bit more distant meetings, with a little bit of something to eat, and some of the companies, they were ready. They wanted to do it. They wanted to help us out, so they jumped in. And the first one was Billy Wilson. He owns the old Montgomery Works, where they're trying to do a whole new project. he donated $10,000 immediately to make sure that we had the permits and the licensings and open the bank account and the whole thing to get started. So he was the money guy. I was the guy doing the work at the office. And we had a couple of more people. My best friend, Danilo Guerra, he does everything online, digital marketing, web design, graphic design. And we used to own a company with him. And we actually ended up being nominated as the Small Business of the Year at the Senate. And also, once we opened the chamber, we got so much support. Bob Hertzberg actually likes us a lot, Senator Bob Hertzberg. He actually gave us our own date in the state of California. I don't know if you know, but I think we are the only chamber in the San Fernando Valley that has their own date. So April 4th was declared the day of the Panorama City Chamber of Commerce in the state of California. So that's one of the big things that they give us. We also belong to other really prestigious institutions such as VICA. VICA is the Valley Industry and Commerce Association. They're the kind of institution that you don't go to them, they come to you. If they like what you're doing, they'll propose that you should associate, and they'll give you the opportunity for you to be part of it, but they don't really go accepting just anybody. And normally for companies, it's about $8,000 if you want to be a member, $8,000 a year if you want to be a member of some of these institutions. But when you're a chamber, they give it to you as a recognition of excellence and actually doing a pretty good job. So we're proud to say, you know what, no, we didn't pay a single dime. We actually were added to their list as one of the chambers that actually excelled in the market. And one of the reasons is we don't focus a lot on money. That's one of the beauties when you get used to not having money, you find ways to get things done without having to always make it all about money. And a lot of the companies, a lot of the business, they already use a chamber of commerce and they automatically think, oh boy, here we go again. I got to put money, I got to spend money. And that shouldn't be that way. It should be about, well, I believe a chamber of commerce should be a place where you can come in and find solutions for your business, whether you have money or not, period. If you have money, of course, we welcome, we appreciate it, and any help or any sponsorship that they want to do. But we should be able to help any business at any level, regardless, even if they don't have the means, even if they don't have enough. A lot of times, as an example, one lady, she came in and said, hey, Saul, I clean houses. All I do is just clean houses, and I want to start my own business. I say, you know what? Come to the office twice a week, and I'll give you a membership, and we'll use our tools and sources to promote your business. So we're still going to help your business, but we'll probably do a little bit of trade, a little bit of bartering, you know.
I love that. That's amazing. That's so good. You're really, I love what you've done for your community, and you're so involved. You're so hands-on. Anybody can call you. You're so accessible. Someone could say, hey, I clean. And you're like, okay, come here, do this. We'll work it out. You get stuff done. That's amazing.
Correct. And that's how we end up growing. It looks crazy, but even if you call the chamber, the person who does the voice on the phone is a two-time Grammy winning artist and a professional voiceover. You know, and happened to be my cousin, so she volunteered to do so.
Well, you're still in LA area, so yeah, you got that.
So the same thing, the coffee is donated by 7-Eleven. They pay for coffee, sugar, creamer.
I love that.
You know, and because they see what we do, we really don't make it about money. We ask if we need something. It's easier for me to pick up the phone. Hey, listen, we're running out of napkins. Do you think you can donate a package of napkins? And they feel more comfortable doing so than actually having to put physical dollars on the table. So a lot of companies, they support us a lot, and you know, we still got to pay rent and bills, but we try to take care of that on our own, and then whatever else we need. And at the end, we end up getting lawyers, accountants, marketing people, you know, digital media. We end up getting so much attention. We actually been in some really major national networks. I already been to. I don't know if you got a chance to see my bio, if you got it. But we've been to so many national level. We never paid a single dollar to do an interview or to actually be featured anywhere. And we end up in some of the national networks because of that. Then we got a call from a couple of even bigger chambers. As an example, we belong to the United States Hispanic Chamber, and which means 7.9 million members, and they cover the entire United States. We belong to the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce. There's an online chamber, and a lot of people don't know that either. And they got all the major name brands online. You know, they have a chamber online, which is pretty cool. And I happen to know the president. So what we do, the same thing, we trade memberships between many other institutions. We belong to BizFed, which is Los Angeles County Business Federation. The same thing, normally business pay about $8,000 to be a member. But as a chamber, they only charge us like $125 or something like that. So it's amazing. And we can bring 5 people. So we usually bring the top officers to that type of meetings and those type of situations, and we get exposure to the bigger market. So we literally can cover business all the way from local to city to state to national and international. We do world trade as well with a couple of other countries around the globe, and we also work with other countries around the globe. So there's no limit of what you can do, and that's what we love about the chamber, because really it's composed by the people. The rent, the bills, everything gets paid by the same members. We don't get funding. We're not a nonprofit yet. So we actually get cover absolutely everything by the same members, by the people within the chamber.
That is so fascinating. And that's so different than how a lot of other Chamber of Commerces operate. From what you've seen and what people have experienced, they tell you that, right? That you guys have like, you're doing things differently, like outside the box.
Yeah, and in fact, also one of the newest things that we got, and probably Joe told you a little bit about that, but I believe we also are the only chamber who has a radio show. I host a show called Business This Week, and it's an actual FM radio station. And we have our own show, and that was created precisely to promote some of the business within the chamber. We use it as an incentive, an extra incentive. When they join, we actually do a little bit of marketing for them, or do an interview, about their business on our show, and that's just an extra token. And also that radio station, I gotta say hello to Francisco Verdin. Francisco Verdin is he's a mariachi guy. He has some mariachi, and he has done two things that are really insane. But the first thing that he did, he established the first mariachi school in the entire United States ever. Because of that, he actually got a call from the White House, and during the Obama administration, he got a medal from President Barack Obama, making it official that he was the first mariachi school ever.
And where is that? Where is that located, the first mariachi
school? In Panorama City. He's a resident in Panorama City. So the second thing that he just did is that the radio station, a lot of people don't know, but we have a San Fernando Valley FM radio station, which is a community radio station. So it's a nonprofit, and the money came from donors, from people who actually put $20, $30, whatever. And they end up spending about $100,000. You compete with about 250,000 people. And then Congress got to decide whether you should have it or not have it. So even at that moment, they can say, no, you lose all the money and you lose all the work that you've done. But luckily it got approved. So for the past 2 years, the San Fernando Valley actually has a community radio station. So it's called KROJ 101.5 FM. And when at that show, just like you, I already had it online. I had it on social media. And when they opened, they already knew me and say, hey, would you like to actually broadcast your show over, the FM waves? So I just laughed and I would say, of course, and it was actually during the pandemic, which it kept me pretty busy. I record most of my shows just from home. Perhaps that's what you're doing as well. So most of my shows, actually, I just sat in my room and actually, added the music. And we're a full licensed radio station. So we have ASCAP licensing. We can play any kind of music. We can really perform just like any other radio station. So we're very happy and very proud to be able to bring that. And right now, we're hoping to find sponsors for antennas. We are allowed to have 3 antennas and just have one right now. So the signal in certain parts is not that great, and it's because we have 1 antenna. But we're allowed to have up to 3 antennas. And if we actually get to have the 3 antennas, we can actually cover the entire San Fernando Valley. When I was saying 1.7 million people will be here, the show. And normal radio stations, they charge between $8,000 and $40,000 a week if you want to put a commercial. So it's not cheap at all. And these antennas are $8,000. So we tell people if they really want to jump in, we'll give them a whole year of advertisement instead of 1 week if they actually donate enough to actually cover, one of these antennas. So that's one of the cool things that we can do. We can really negotiate and work around, something that they won't have. And once the station is completely launched, I'm saying once we have all the tools, because you gotta understand, we had to buy literally absolutely everything. Cables, microphones, desk, all of it was paid by the community. So, but once it's completely established, and I mean, when we have the 2 antennas, you're gonna hear it everywhere. You're gonna see it everywhere because it's a full license radio station. So it's approved by Congress. So that's the other historic thing that this gentleman did. So he has done 2 things that he hasn't been done in quite a bit. I believe in the 1950s, it was the last time that we also had a radio station in the San Fernando Valley.
That's incredible. Okay, so, I have viewers from all over California watching this show, Central California, Northern California, and a lot in Southern California. So if people want to be involved in the Panorama City Chamber of Commerce, what's some incentive if I have a friend that lives in Santa Monica that's like, I really want to be a part of this, or if I have somebody in Fresno that wants to be a part of this, will you guys, they can kind of like donate, get their Panorama City Chamber of Commerce membership, and then what do they do from there? What do they get? And how do they get notified on events going on and get to go to some of your guys' monthly events that you have? Tell us that.
Well, one of the things that we're doing also that is brand new, we haven't even put it on the page yet, but what we're doing is we're creating kind of like a buffet menu. So we offer a whole bunch of different benefits that they can choose from. So they can choose, let's say, 15 different ones that actually applies better to their business. Because I don't believe in one shoe fits all. So what some of the benefits might be good for some, but not for the others. So depending on what kind of business they have, depending on where they're located, it could really vary. So for some people, it might be one thing, and for other people, it might be something else. So what we're creating now is just a list of all the benefits that we can think of that even our own members have provided. As an example, recently, one of the photographers that we know, he said, Saul, as soon as they join, we'll give them a free headshot. You know, it's included. They get a headshot from his studio. So just that alone, he normally charges about $100 just to go to the studio and do a professional headshot.
Right. That's, yeah.
So it's like the membership actually for individuals, let's say realtors, let's say people that work for a company, like let's say Prime America or something like that, it's $100. You know, if they don't have a physical building, brick and building, then they can actually pay $100. So just that alone, it should be quite a benefit just for them. And of course, there comes all the other normal stuff, which is mixers. We do meetings. And if they actually participate a lot more, like I was saying, we even bring them to some of the events that the other institutions do. As an example, we belong to the United Chambers. The United Chambers, every single year, they do the largest mixer in the San Fernando Valley. They get about between 500 and 700 people, to that mixer. They do it at the Budweiser. And also, as an example, they have the Small Business Awards. They do really nice trophies and awards from all over the San Fernando Valley, and they pick one business from each community. So we as the chamber, we get to pick one business a year, not only to be recognized as or small business, but also through the United Chambers. And they can have obviously a little bit more exposure. Like I was saying, the radio, we know it's not cheap either. So just the fact that you can jump in and actually have even a show be broadcast and give you a copy, and you can, tell your friends, hey, my business was, showcased in this specific venue. It could be a little bit of talking. It could be something else that normally other people even pay a lot, even just for a video. Even just to do a commercial, some of my friends are actors. Well, one of the reasons why I know Joe is I also play, film producer. So some of my friends are actors and people in the industry, and they get paid $200-300, an hour just to actually do a commercial. Some of my friends are voiceover, and they get paid $500 an hour. And these are some of my friends that actually, by the way, they'll come over and do the commercials for some of the people that we know. I can go to one of my, hey, listen, do me a favor. I got a new business. They don't got a lot of money. Can you cover for them? Can you help them out a little bit with this? So when you work as a team, you can do a lot more. And we definitely believe any amount of money that you put towards the chamber, you get it double by the end of the year. That's my policy practically. You'll be able to get at least double of what you put in by the end of the year because of all the services that the other members can provide, because of all the other things that they bring to the table. They'll just say, what, don't worry about it. We want to support this business. We want to help them out. So that's how we work. And again, it's because we are not really talking about money. We're talking about services they can offer, even 1 hour with our lawyer. Let's say they need to talk to a lawyer. Okay, I can talk to one of our lawyers and say, hey, listen, they need advice on this and that. That alone should be quite a bit of money. So in the small business is $250, and we believe we can definitely double that and so on. So, but normal business, they pay about between $100 to $250 a year. And one of my friends was saying, so if you go any cheaper,
that's not bad at all. That's really not.
Yeah, my friend was telling me, if you go any cheaper, I'll quit. He's like, nowadays the minimum wage is about $15 an hour. A McDonald's employee as a cashier can pull out $100 in a day. He's like, so we can't go cheaper than 1 day of McDonald's, charging for the whole year. So if anybody has an issue actually paying $100, then perhaps they shouldn't even be in business, quite frankly, if they don't want to invest $100 into their own business. So he made me laugh, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, yes, nowadays, in a single day, you can pull $100 working at McDonald's as a cashier.
Oh yeah, no, that's very affordable. That's cheaper than I belong to multiple Chamber of Commerces throughout the years, and in Central California, it was like about double what you guys are asking for to belong to that. And I had a weird experience. I mean, this doesn't really apply to you or whatever, but I'm very excited and passionate like you about the community. I know a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of people all over the different communities. So I was really excited to belong to this particular Chamber of Commerce, like 3-4 hours away from you. I'm not talking about the LA area. And then I was like, I went out. I'm like, I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting my booklets. I'm not getting my invites, my e-invites. I'm not knowing what's going on. I'm not getting all the things I was promised or asked. And then so halfway in, when they asked me for the other half of you paid like $200 for the first half of the year, $200 for the second half of the year, for the other 6 months. So, and it came to for my second payment, that's when they come after me and they ask, like, hey, where's the payment? I said, where's my stuff that I was promised? And they said, oh, whoever signed it, you didn't write down your email address, right? So that's why I haven't been getting everything. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you guys going to do about it? And it was very there was a lot of that going on. So when I hear about you and all you're doing and how accessible you are, and the people could just call you and be like, I want to do that. It's like, this is something I want to be a part of. And I think is amazing. And you guys are so above anything I've experienced with any chamber of commerce anywhere.
No, and that's what I said. That's why we figure, you know what, we don't really limit ourselves just to our community, because that opens, actually, we had somebody call from Mexico and they say, we're in Merida, Yucatan. He's like, I want to join the chamber. And he was the first one to open my mind to that broad space. I'm like, hey, why would you want to join the Panorama City Chamber of Commerce? You know, if you're all the way in Merida, Yucatan. He said, well, because actually, you know what, if you go to downtown LA, they sell a lot of the Mexican products. We are the companies that make those products. We want to skip the middleman, or you could be the middleman, you know, and we'll just send it to you guys, and then you guys can, you know, have these companies or the small businesses purchase those products. And I mean, even let's say salsas from, you know, from a restaurant, the salt, fish, shrimp, they can ship anything that you can think of, you know, and within 48 hours, which is really crazy. So I don't know if you know, but you know how much money a normal restaurant spends in salsas and the stuff that they put on the table a week?
How much?
Between $8,000 and $10,000, you know, a week, each of those restaurants. So it's an insane business for people actually get into that. So when he brought that up, he's like, oh, you guys could be selling it for the same price, but they customize it. They put the label with the name, with your brand, with the of your business, instead of just promoting somebody else's name brand. And it would still be the same price. We can still sell it at the same price because it's coming all the way from Mexico. So it's quite interesting. Yeah. So what that did is we don't limit ourselves to simply just Panorama City. Like I was saying, we belong to United Chambers, so we go to the Valley. Because we belong to BizFed, we do it at the county level as well. If they need a training, somebody calls me and say, hey, Saul, can you do a training on a specific subject, you know, all the way in Orange? We really don't care. We go and we show up. We want to put the name really out there for people to know that we exist and that we're active. The whole purpose should be, and that's the reason why I'm in the middle of it. I tell people, if I wanted to make money, I wouldn't be working for a chamber. You go somewhere else if you want to make money. If you want to actually serve and actually help business, then yes, this is the place. So my goal is to help the small business, to help the people who actually need it. And we are blessed to actually get the support from the major companies. So that's the way that it should be. You really charge the corporations, you know, if you're making $2.8 billion or something like that, that's the people you go after and try to pull the money from. But the small business shouldn't have to deal with that. I'm proud to say that I was raised by a single mom and she was a business owner. So I remember clearly every single time she had to pay the rent, she had to pay the bills, every penny, every time she was counting to make sure that she had enough to pay the bills. And I don't want, in my clock, as an adult, I wouldn't want many businesses to have to go through that. You know, if somebody actually wants to come in and cry and say, listen, I don't have enough for the rent, I'm gonna lose my business. I don't care what I have to do, I'll go figure it out and I'll make something happen because I know what that feels like. I know how that is. So my goal, in my idea is to actually be able to have enough funds to really help the small business. Recently, we were talking with one of the members, and it's so hard to actually get a startup, to actually start a business, because the banks won't let you borrow money because you don't have a background, you really are brand new. You know, so if you have actually who's, let's say 19, 20, and they want to start a business, it's practically impossible. And we thought it was hilarious. They shouldn't be that way. This is the United States, you know, this is how there should be a way that if somebody actually has the will and they can prove that they mean it. As an example, I was telling you, look, if I have a volunteer, let's say we have a kid in high school and they devote 5 years. As an example, my business partner, by the way, he's pretty young. He's only like 25 and he's been volunteering for 10 years. So he has a proven record that for 10 years, he volunteered for the chamber, he volunteered for the neighborhood council, he's been involved in the community. People like that, I think, should be able to actually get along, should be able to say, look, you don't have the, you know, the years of experience because you were not even born perhaps when you started. He started business at the age of 8.
Wow.
He started actually fixing computers and started his own business. So anyhow, we figured that, you know what, there are certain people that actually can prove that they're good for it, but somehow they still don't have a chance to actually be able to get about $3,000-$4,000. Somebody should be able to do that. So part of what we do about actually being able to do is do that, to actually have enough funds in the chamber that if somebody comes in and they can prove that they mean business, that they actually are willing to sacrifice and work for what they're doing, we should be able to help them out. So we always try to find solutions in any situation possible. If they have the heart, the desire, and the willingness to actually be a business owner, I think we can find solutions. I think we can work something out.
Thank you so much for coming on my show, Saul. You've been a great source of information.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. It's a pleasure to meet you finally, Elise. Hopefully someday I get to meet you face to face.
For sure.
Felt right in the morning, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. I just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, distressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.